If you watch basketball from about 2012 to 2017, you know the Los Angeles Clippers were one of the most dynamic teams in the NBA. Unfortunately, this team never went on to win an NBA Finals or even went past the second round of the playoffs. Today, I'm going to tell you the story about Lob City. Let's get it. From the 90s to about the 2000s, the Los Angeles Clippers were literally the laughingstock of the NBA. They have so many pictures, so many memes of people making fun of the Clippers back in the day. They weren't seen as one of the greatest teams or one of those teams that had anything going for them. But this was about to change as the years were going by. In 2009, the Clippers won the lottery pick with the first overall pick in the NBA draft on May 2009, in which they used to get big star right now, Blake Griffin. Unfortunately, Blake Griffin was hurt and he missed his first rookie season in the NFL due to a knee injury and sat out the whole season. But in 2011-2012 season, Blake Griffin was full on healthy and was able to play for the Clippers. The Clippers already had the likes of Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, and Chauncey Billups. But to even extend the talent of this whole team, they ended up signing Chris Paul in 2012. Chris Paul being the best point guard in the league at that point in time, and probably the best passer in the league as well, was very good news to this team as they had the two best slashing and dunking big men in DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin. This brought about the name Lob City. Now looking at Lob City, looking at their talent, looking at their roster, having people like DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, having Matt Barnes come through that team, Jamal Crawford come through that team, had JJ Redick on that team, so many other talents that came through that team. You would probably expect that these guys would at least win one NBA championship. Unfortunately, that didn't even happen. They didn't even get past the second round of the playoffs, which was a big wow to everybody who watched basketball in that moment. Now, looking at all the weapons they had, not just as players, they also had Doc Rivers as their head coach, which was a very experienced coach. He had won an NBA championship with the Boston Celtics. So they had every possible thing they needed to win an NBA championship within those years. But when you look at the team and you hear stories about Lob City, it's easy to know why they didn't work out. I personally think the main reason they didn't work out as a team was because they didn't have good chemistry together. Now, Matt Barnes had voiced out during an interview that as a team off the court, they went well together. They hung out together. They had great times. They were able to have good conversation. They had a good bond. But whenever basketball came into the case, they could not figure anything out, which makes no sense. The reason you're here all together in the first place is to play basketball. So if you can't get basketball correct together, then there's no point for y'all to be together. Now, in consequent years, looking at their playoffs from 2012 to 2017, you would see that they continued to lose just about in the second round, and they couldn't get past that. A lot of people believe that the main reason for the team crumbling was because their two biggest stars, Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, could not just work together. Chris Paul and Blake Griffin both wanted to be leaders of the team, and they had two different leading structures. You can't really lead a team like that. A team cannot survive if two people are trying to be the sole leader of the team and they don't even have the same leading structure. Chris Paul was more of a, I don't care how you feel, I'm going to tell you what you're doing wrong, why you play this bad, you're the reason that this happened, and I'm going to give it to you straight. On the other hand, Blake Griffin was more of a come up to you and talk to you calmly about what happened, why this happened. He was more appealing to the players' emotions, which really divided the whole team apart. Now, the reason why this team did not work out was not just because of, the obvious, the players and the coaches. Even looking at the management and the moves they made for this team, it didn't really help them move forward and become even more talented. They never had a number 3 scorer who would be consistent enough to go to the basket and score the basketball. Every single team that has been great and has made it into the NBA Finals and won multiple finals always have that big 3. There's always a a straight up scorer slasher. There's always a guy who plays defense, rebounds the ball and everything. And you always need that number 3 scorer, that guy who you can always rely on if the number 1 or number 2 scorer is not playing well on that day. Unfortunately, they didn't really have that guy. Yes, they had Chris Paul, who was a great scorer. They also had Blake Griffin, who was really good at scoring as well. But DeAndre Jordan wasn't your typical go to the basket score type of guy. He was more of a throw alley-oop up or pass the ball to me in the post. He wasn't a go up to the basket and score type of guy, which really hindered them from progressing in a lot of games. The Clippers blew a 3-1 lead to the Houston Rockets. Now, we know that so many teams have blew a 3-1 lead of recent memory, including the Clippers from last playoffs. And that is literally a disgrace to the whole league. When you ruin a 3-1 lead, you were seen as lackluster. You were seen as that team who didn't want it bad enough. And obviously, it seemed like that. There was so much going on in the organization. Their owner had a whole scandal with racist remarks. That alone distracts the whole team from even focusing on basketball, because now they have to change management. Now their coaches are worried about how he has to deal with this new general manager, and this other person's worried about this. The team was just not going through a good phase, and it led to a lot of people thinking that the Clippers might be cursed. Now, with you being in the West, you have the best of the best talents on that side. You had the Golden State Warriors coming up as Stephen Curry was emerging into this bright new star of a point guard. Then you also had the Los Angeles Lakers in there with Kobe Bryant playing his last years in the NBA. You also had the Memphis Grizzlies having Zach Randolph on that team, having Mike Conley. You had the Oklahoma City Thunder with Harden, Westbrook, KD. You had the Houston Rockets also coming up eventually when Harden went over there. You had so many talents in that team. And you had the San Antonio Spurs. Greg Popovich and the whole team was literally great. So there was no time to try to say next year was our year or the year after was our year. You had to win that championship right now and right then. Doc Rivers also voiced out his concern for the team. He said he felt like the team never really saw the urgency to win a championship. He said on multiple occasions he tried to get the team together to understand that this is a case of urgency. We need to win a championship right now and right now, like today. But they didn't get to understand that sense of urgency. They were more concerned about, their own personal egos, as Matt Barnes had also voiced out. Everyone just thought they were too good for each other. Everyone thought they were too talented. So their egos were just stepping in the way. And when you have a problem like that, you cannot win a championship because the team is not really a team. Now, after multiple years of trying to get past the second round of the playoffs, after getting injuries through Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, other people on the team, after getting multiple talents walk in and out of that team from 2012 to 2017, the team finally began to split up, with Chris Paul officially going to the Houston Rockets. Once that happened, the team was gone. Like there was no Lob City anymore. Lob City ended right there. Yes, some people still use the name Lob City to refer to the Los Angeles Clippers, but to be honest, there really isn't any Lob City anymore. Yes, we have a very talented Clippers right now with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Serge Ibaka, and so many people on that team. But the team that they had with Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan and Cole in 2012 to 2017 doesn't really match the talent that we have seen them get post that whole team. Now, before I even random this topic, the owner literally got into a scandal because he said, "I do not want black people at my game." Who says that? What type of owner says that? If you have your owner saying that, obviously your team is not going to be going well. You have an owner who is literally racist, because that's all you can call it. Obviously, your management is bad. Your management is already going through a lot because your owner's head is in a whole different place apart from basketball. He's more worried about a whole race coming to his game as opposed to winning a whole championship. That makes sense why they weren't able to win anything in those years. Now, years after the Lob City era has come to an end, you begin to see many players tell their side of the story. Even Chris Paul voiced out that he sometimes thinks about what the team could have been if they could just work together as one. He also says that you never really know what you have until it's lost. And that's very unfortunate because Now Lob City is never going to come back together, and even if by some magical way they were able to, they're all older now and they're all at different talents, and some of them are even retired, so the team is literally can never be the same. There's so many reasons, even just looking throughout this whole story, why the team didn't work. It was management, it was ego of the whole team, it was lack of leadership, it was lack of the coach being able to construct the team and bring them together as one. It was literally self-inflicted wounds that stopped Lob City from winning a championship. I mean, come on, look at the highlights of Lob City. Look at the talent they had on the team. Brandon and I could tell you the talent they had on that team. I mean, you saw the video of DeAndre Jordan sending him down to the ground. You know that this team was bound to win a championship. Unfortunately, that never happened. And to this day, we will never say that the Los Angeles Clippers was able to win an NBA championship. Could that change? Who knows? Do y'all think the Los Angeles Clippers will win an NBA championship within the next few years? Let me know below. Alright guys, thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for watching. Y'all make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and if y'all have any debate topics or any stories that y'all want me to discuss or talk about on this YouTube channel, just comment below or hit me up on the social media page with the link below. With that being said guys, it's a wrap. Thank y'all for tuning in.